Sergeant Dodson. I'm an Army recruiter here at Hays, Kansas. As I was telling you, the rest of them, I just got here in August, and I'm originally from Newark, Ohio. It's about 30 minutes east of Columbus, Ohio. Born and raised there all my life. I joined the Army Reserve right after 9/11. I say right after 9/11 because you figure September 11 was kind of the end of the year, and then I joined 2003, July 2003. So you're looking at about 18 months after 9/11, once the war officially was declared. And I honestly joined because something I always wanted to do, and I wanted to serve my country. That was my reason. And I kind of thought in the back of my mind, well, I'll use this money for college. And believe it or not, I'm 30 years old now, and first year I've actually went to college because I was like, you know what, I've got to have my degree. So I should have my degree next December, and I'm going to go on and pursue my master's for business. So that's my personal. So I understand college. Like when I talk to college students, I'm like, you got to stay in college, especially you guys in medical careers. I mean, that's not only something for yourself, but that's helping humanity out in the future. So it's definitely a good thing to do. Now, getting on to some of the, I don't want to keep you guys here all night, so getting on to some of the main points is the debt that is incurred for medical students, dental students, even a basic college student. I want to interrupt a little bit. $400,000 for your school?
Yeah.
That's insane. Like, I don't even got nothing for that. $400,000. No, anyways, typically, the average student here is probably even if they went full into everything, room, out of state, everything, they're only looking at maybe $15,000 a year tuition, so $60,000, if that. If they, so $400,000, like, it's a lot of money. So, if you were going to come in and pay for college as a student, how could the Army help you guys directly pay for school? $400,000, not quite on what I can offer, but I can start to put a huge dent into that and then get into the Army medical side, which is called AMED. And if you go to Google or GoArmy.com and you would click on AMED or type in, I believe it's AMMED or AMEED. Now I can't remember which. I don't have my iPad on it. I believe it's AMMED. Stands for Army Medical Recruiting Team, basically. And what they're going to do is you go in there and you can see all the specialties, the types. The catch with that is they can, so let's just use a very basic, someone has a medical degree like biology, something like that. They want to be some lab physical therapist, something like that. Once they have their degree in hand, they're a senior and they have their degree in hand, they can actually apply to be a doctor, go down for the medical. Now for dental, I will check on it. If anyone's actually like, hey, I'm really interested, I can check because I'm not an AMED recruiter. But I believe in the reserves, which is what we're talking about doing, because you guys all have your careers lined out. You're, hey, I want to serve my country a little bit, help out with the college. But I believe in the reserves, you can, when you're a senior, and you have your 1 year from getting your degree or your bachelor's, you can contract into the AMED. I'm pretty sure, but I will, like anyone afterwards, like don't quote me on that. Anybody, I want to double check for sure. But to get back into the lane of what I know, what I'm talking about in the reserves, what the Army can do for you directly. So if that would be true, it's either going to be you have to have your degree or you're a senior to get your degree for the Army AMED. But before that, you're looking at another 2 to 3 years of debt. What you do is there's one option, you can join the Army Reserves. The Army Reserves is a commitment of 44 days a year, which you take your 2 weeks, 1 week in the month, and then your 2 to 3 weeks during the summer. And that's what you're committing to. It's a 6-year commitment because, excuse me, but it's a 6-year commitment because of the fact, basically, if you want the long story of it, is if you join the Army, if the Army is going to pay you for 4 years, 5 years of your schooling, they're like, okay, we've paid you and got you all the skill, we want to get our money back, so to speak. So that's why it's just, you're only committing to 1 week in a month, 2 weeks a year, pretty much for 6 years. Now, the nice thing about the Army Reserves is, hypothetically speaking, if everyone in this room said, yeah, we're all joining tomorrow, that couldn't happen if you wanted to, but if you were, your time would start in the Army Reserves that day. So what the Army Reserves is something called direct assessed. Now, why I'm saying that is because for you would be able to, within 72 hours, once the system, because it takes 72 hours to system update, once you get an ID card, start paying you before you even went to basic and AIT. Now, basic and AIT is basic training. Everyone goes to basic training. That's 9 weeks, 4 days. There's no way around that. Unless you've already went or you're coming into the officer side. But just the basic side, you're looking at 9 weeks, 4 days, which I tell people is 10 weeks. AIT stands for Advanced Individual Training. So if you will join the Army Reserves to be a cook, you join the Army as a truck driver, medical, those are going to be, I might take more to train somebody to be an RN than a truck driver. So it's going to have various lengths. It varies from 6 to 52 or 54 weeks, I believe, depending upon the training. You get into medical, you're looking at some of the upward of a year of training to do that. Some of the cooks, some of the other stuff like that, you're looking at down to the 4 to 6 week range. Now, some of the nice things as far as the incentives, so I can get to that, the incentives that the Army Reserves offers. So it varies by location. Because when you're talking the active Army, you can essentially, you got the whole world, not just the United States. You have the whole world basically. The Army's all over the place. They're over the Department of Defense, any branch. They're all over, stationed all over the world. Army Reserves, we're directly related. We want to keep you within 50 miles of A, your hometown, or B, where you're going to work or reside. Because you don't want to drive, let's say you're from Kansas City, you don't want to drive back to Kansas City once a month and be locked into that commitment if you're going to live in Hayes for the rest of your life. Because now you're living, you're driving 4 hours, 4.5 hours for a couple $100. Might not be worth it. But, so we'll use Hayes here because that's right over here. There's a unit, not the west exit, but the east, not your main 159, I think it's exit 156, 157, is the, not the bypass, come to college, but the one before that is Commerce Parkway. There's a reserve unit there. It's primarily medical. Now, what they have primarily in their job is they have a 68 whiskey, which is a healthcare specialist, and that can branch off from many different ways to the 68 whiskey. But it's typically basically like an EMT, not quite an RN. Then you have the 68 Alpha and 68 Juliet, which you have the biomed, pharmacy tech, the medical repair. So those are some of the medical repair, some of the biomed. Those are some of the six-figure jobs that you can get repairing, like a CAT scan, MRI machine, the medical equipment. They have the repair for that. And then the other thing that they have, that would be very, very good over there is they have, the nuclear, biological, chemical, IT specialist, cook, truck driver. They have some mechanical jobs. Now, you're like, okay, this doesn't have anything to do with dentists yet. Like, there's no dental jobs. How that would help to get to the meat and potatoes, so to speak, is now you've got those jobs. Those are pretty what you're going to pick on. So if you were going to join the Army Reserves, if I was going to go through dental school, and I was like, okay, I'm looking at what I had, and I had to come out, and that was my path, what I would want to do is join the Army Reserves first. And I would just pick any job that offered me the most college benefits. Because essentially all you're joining for is the college money, because you know that A, when you get your degree, or B, when you get that degree, you go Army medical into the officer, they're going to pay for it, or you're going to get a degree, you're going to have a practice here at your local hometown. So you're really only going to do 6 years, whether you decide to stay or not. You're just doing it if the dental program did not work out for some reason. So for some reason, if all else failed and something fell through and you didn't get to be a dentist, like that's everyone's here goal, right? So if that didn't happen, all you're using the Army Reserves for is like my ACE card up my sleeve. I can fall back on this career. So you could fall back on anything medical that they had, cook, anything that interests you. I say take the one that offers the most college money. So for instance, all those jobs over in Hayes right now have $10,000 student loan repayments, which basically means you can get, that's $10,000. I know that's not a lot compared to $400,000, but you're only talking right now. Do you have a question?
For our undergrad, like college right now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Now, you are a senior, correct? Okay. Yes, it'll pay up to your $10,000 as long as it's a federal loan, like Fannie Mac. It can't be like personal loan through your bank. It has to be taken out under the federal loan. Fannie Mae, sorry. Fannie Mae, I think some of the other basic, the big ones. If you go to where you apply for FAFSA, look through federal loans, as long as it's that, they will pay up to $10,000 of that. Now, how that works is usually they'll pay so much, they'll take what you're in for, like 4-year degree, and they'll pay $2,500 every year. So that way, if you get out or something falls through, they're not, I'm going to have them pay for it, and I'm never going to show back up the drill. That's why they do that. The other is a $10,000 cash bonus. So now you're up to $20,000. The other thing they have is the tuition assistance, $4,500. If anyone's watching the news, I'm really bringing this up because it's all over Facebook, and I've already been asked 3 or 4 times today, and the tuition assistance has been suspended. because of the current budget situation. It actually was. About a week ago, it was suspended. The last time it was suspended, I believe, was under the Clinton administration. They suspended it for a few months for the Marines, and that's as far as it went. Now they've suspended all branches due to the lack of or budget situation the country's in. However, it's only suspended till the end of the year, and it didn't apply to myself. Like, I had already enrolled in the college, and it wasn't affected by me. But it's like, let's say you were in the Army and you wanted to get tuition assistance. Hey, you'd be kind of out of luck because you could not apply for any future one. Nor can I apply for anything I'm not enrolled in already. But I'm enrolled the next 6 months anyways, so it really didn't even affect me. And worst case, they're saying, hey, by the end of the year, it should be taken care of. So I don't anticipate it to be a future thing. It's only happened once in history. And, the budget situation, if something happens. So by the time, if any of you guys decide to join the Army Reserves, by the time you get done with your basic and AIT and be eligible to start using anyways, you're looking at, it would be back on. But you have the tuition assistance, which is basically $4,500 a year. You have your student loan, your cash bonus, you still get your Pell Grant, still get your FAFSA, and now you have, the other thing you have is your Montgomery GI Bill yourself. All those jobs over in Hayes come with a GI Bill and a kicker, which is basically, I think that's like $24,182. So since I don't have the figure right in front of me, we'll go with $25,000. So if you added all that up, $25,000, we'll just say 25 for simple math, plus the $20,000, 10,000 bonus, 10,000 student loan, now you're $45,000. $4,500 every year times 6 is $30,000. So we were at, 20, 45 plus 30, so $75,000 there. And then not including the Pell Grants or the FAFSA, which is kind of beyond you, so I don't want to throw those figures in. So we're looking at $75,000 right now to help you accomplish your bachelor's degree. If $75,000 could help you get your bachelor's degree, that's the key. Because I believe you're, not being a dental student myself, I can't say, well, I know this is exactly the path you're going to take afterwards, or here's what's going to happen. But to get you to that bachelor's degree, now you can contact the Army medical recruiting team and say, okay, now that I have my bachelor's degree, how does it work? I cannot tell you how it works in dental. I know it's the same program, but I know the particulars in any other profession, like let's say surgeon, trauma surgeon, ER surgeon, anything like that, or general family practice and want to be a doctor. Basically, once you get your degree, you then go into the Army Medical. The Army Medical pays for 100% of your 100% scholarship and gives you about $1,800 in your pocket every month for expenses to live on. So I would only assume that it would work pretty similar, but what I would like to do, if anybody comes with, hey, I'm really interested, obviously before you would want to sign up or anything, you would want to speak to an Army medical recruiter, because that would make sense, because once you join the AMED side, now you're commissioned as an officer, depending upon your degree at the time. So if you had a master's or you were in med school, and I really don't know the terms for dental, so I don't really want to confuse the two or sound like ignorant to the fact, even though I really don't know a lot about the dental terms. But it would be equivalent, like if you're in med school or law school for a attorney. Once you're in that, or you have to start in med school next year, I know from that point, Army Medical will pick up, and then you're commissioned second lieutenant once you complete your schooling, and so now you're an officer, and all your expenses are taken care of. And the Army also has a program that they offer, which is basically they understand that, hey, let's say you're making a part-time dentist in the Army Reserve, they understand, hey, you're only making $20,000. If she did this part-time somewhere else, they could probably make a lot more money. So they give you like yearly bonuses. So basically, like on active duty side, like if you're a brain surgeon, you might get $200,000, $300,000 yearly bonus on top of your normal pay, because they realize that that's what you're going to make in the civilian side. And they don't want to train you for 10 years and then have you walk away after 3 years. They want to keep you and let you retire because they put all that money into it. So what I would advise is the basic thing I can offer you right now would be the roughly $75,000 to help you from this point get your bachelor's degree. So you're a senior. The only way it would really help you would be to get through the rest for you. The only way it would help you be really to get through the rest of this year, which really isn't really going to help you because you're going to have your bachelor's degree. So the Army medical recruiting team for me would be something you would want to contact right now, what I would recommend. For the rest of you, if anybody else in here is senior, Okay. I would say so you guys are both know for sure you're going to be dentists, correct? Okay. So then what I would recommend, what I would do if you guys are interested, would contact, I can take your name and number and give you, let an Army medical recruiter contact you guys, because you will have your degree in that. So I don't personally see the value. I'm not going to sit here and try to sell a contract. You're like, oh yeah, let's put you in the Army. That's an injustice to the Army Reserve, because why would we not want you as a dentist in the Army Reserve? Because you're going to help out the troops instead of just putting you in as a cook or that really doesn't make a whole lot of sense to either one of you guys. So what I would recommend, if this is something you both want interested in, for you seniors, get your name and number and let me get a medical recruiter to come talk to you, or at least call you and answer your questions about that help you. For you guys, the Army Reserves, the Army Medical would be the same, because but it might be more beneficial to you to use the Army Reserves at first to do help get your bachelor's degree, ease up the debt, and then contact the Army Medical. So.
Okay. With that, I'm sorry to interrupt. With that, if we did want to do something like this, contact an Army medical recruiter, would they still do the tuition forgiveness, sort of like the $10,000?
Yes, it's actually a lot better. Whatever the AMED can offer you can't even come close to what I can offer, because you understand the reason why is because of this. You have someone that's pursuing, they know it's a lot of schooling, a lot of debt, and a lot of college. The Army also knows that when someone does become qualified, that's a lot of help to their force as well. So they're not going to be, oh, I have $10,000 to go get your criminal justice degree. No, they understand that. So we're like, okay, well, especially if it's a $400,000, I didn't know that. The Army medical team does, because they deal with that every day. These guys go in and talk to seniors they go in and talk to. So I would guarantee you, I know to be a doctor, to get your PhD, you're looking at 10 years of schooling roughly with residency and all that stuff. I would imagine if they pay for that completely, they're going to do the same thing on the other side of the house. But what I actually have a Army medical recruiter here out of Kansas City. There are very few of them. And I can have them contact you, give them your name and number. And that's what I would recommend myself if it was something that you were looking for to pay for the schooling. Now, I will say there is one clause into all of this. Whatever the Army gives you in school. So, for instance, let's say they gave you 6 years of schooling. They paid for 6 years of your schooling, 6 years of whatever you had left after you got your bachelor's, or you started as a freshman, did your bachelor's, and then your residency and all that, and you had 10 years. They're going to want you to serve that same amount of time back to them. Because if I'm your sponsor and I'm saying, no, I own, just make up a name, Hayes Dental Clinic, if I don't know if it exists or not, does it? Okay, well, I'll use that. If I own Hayes Dental Clinic and I'm saying I'm going to make all 4 of you are going to be my dentist when you get out of schooling, I'm going to pay for everything. You're $400,000 a piece. If it takes you 10 years, so only return, I want you to at least work for me for 10 years to get my money back. And that's basically what the Army's saying. So.
And I just want to point out, they do accept specialties. So if you would go into orthodontics or endodontics or something like that.
Can your computer, and I did not bring my iPad because I have never been to this center yet. I didn't know if there was connected to the internet or not. But if you can, I'm done as far as the class. If you